Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. I'm very excited to be joined today by Matt Caine. Matt is Vice President of Business Development at Steam Logistics. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on with me. You know, you and I were both born in Oklahoma.
That's true.
Rivalry University. So I went to Oklahoma University. You went to Oklahoma State University. And there's been a lot of great Bedlam games over the years.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that Bedlam my entire life. My father was a graduate from University of Oklahoma as well, and so my sister and I both went to the rival at OSU, and so we've got some pretty good family events come Bedlam.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah,
lots of good back and forth during the Bedlam games, I'm sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, you know, you and I are going to be talking about sales and sales execution today, and just to kick things off. Where were you? What happened? Who are you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, so really good question. I love telling this story because in the logistics industry, it seems like people kind of stumbled into this industry and never really, thrived to get into logistics. So for me, I was working a temp job, night shift out of college, just kind of figure out what I was going to do after I got through with school. And so I started noticing, how it was working, learned a little bit from the warehouse side, and then got an opportunity to work inside in the office, and had a really good mentor that kind of took me under his wing and kind of, told me more about the industry and the capabilities of what I could do, and, kind of where I could get promoted into more of a role that fit my personality. And I've always had that sales mentality and that sales personality. And so it was just, the natural, next fit.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, I was lucky enough to work in college in the software industry while I was going to school. And that really set me down that path of software during my career. It's funny how these things kind of lead to the next thing. In terms of mistakes to avoid, what are 2 or 3 of the top mistakes that, people should avoid in their careers that you've seen based on your experiences?
Yeah. So in sales, I've made it a point to always sell with integrity, right? Because we have a lot of the salespeople and, people that get a bad name are the used car salesmen just based on the stories that they tell and, for lack of words, maybe the lies that they kind of tell or embellish on. And so selling with integrity has been a huge part of what I feel like has really helped me in my career. I've been able to make some long-standing relationships within work and outside of work, just based on how I go about my business. Something else that's really important to me is just understanding the balance between work and family. We talked a little bit earlier, and I told you I've got a 7-year-old son, Miles, and a 5-year-old daughter, Tori. And so as they get older, their schedules get a little bit more hectic. And so I've got to really get an understanding of how I can balance that work and that family time to make sure I'm not missing out on those milestones throughout their life as well. Absolutely.
That's really great advice. You got to have some sort of, some pillars,
Correct.
What's your why, and it sounds like talking to you offline, your kids are a big part of your why. So,
absolutely.
So on the flip side, what are some of the top 2 or 3 success secrets people can model from?
Okay. Yeah. So taking one from a sports analogy, I always say that your best ability is your availability, right? And so being accessible to your customers, being available, picking up the phone, not being afraid to pick up the phone, and just having those conversations. And then something I mentioned earlier is just, networking, right? So I spent a lot of time early on in my career attending a lot of different events and networking and trying to keep in touch and really just build my profile within the industry. And so I feel like the work I put in early in my career has really helped me to where I am now, because a lot of those relationships I still have. I've made it a point just to reach out to people, check and see how they're doing, how things are going with them. And then if I'm ever in a position, giving them an opportunity to actually grow their career as well, if I've got positions available or if I have contacts that might have positions available.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw an expression not too long ago. Your net worth is dependent upon your network.
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
I totally believe that's true,
I do too.
Yeah, your network is so important. So in your work, with Steam Logistics, how can we support you?
Man, I think that, what you're doing here with this podcast is just, shining a light on our industry. And it's something that I, truly appreciate. I mean, when I got started in this industry, it doesn't seem like it was as much focus around what we're trying to do. And then I think with the pandemic happening, there's even more focus because a lot of the, I guess, chaotic world that we're living in and what's happened to the disruption of the supply chains in regards to your international freight coming across, and then seeing the effects of events like the blockage of the Suez Canal. And so it's just, for me, you shining light on our industry and continuing to talk with just different individuals in the industry, I think is a huge help, and ultimately, will benefit all of us.
Well, I've been super fortunate. I've worked in supply chain for 25 years, and 14 of that has been in trucking technology. And There's been so many great friends made over all those years. And, it's given a lot to me. So I'm just trying to do a little bit to kind of spread the word. What would you say about your overall booking and coming on the show?
Oh, it's been really a funny, situation here. I was approached on LinkedIn. You do a lot of work on LinkedIn, finding people, and I feel like that's kind of where we're all leading towards. I do a ton of prospecting myself on there, but just from the time I received that first message to reaching back out to you to getting the call set up, it's been very seamless. And, I was excited to get on here and have a chance to talk to you, especially when I saw you were from Oklahoma as well.
Yes, it's always awesome to talk to a fellow Oklahoman.
Absolutely.
I definitely am on LinkedIn quite a bit. We're fortunate. We get about 20,000 views of our podcast a month. And a lot of it came through LinkedIn, building our company page and networking and so forth. So I love LinkedIn. It's a great resource for me. What would you say as a kind of a final word of advice for other people out there in sales, trying to build their career? What would you say as a final word of advice?
Yeah, I mean, first, I just want to say, again, thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And then just for anyone out there, supply chain, it ultimately affects everyone. So I just tell people, whether or not you're going into the business or not, just educate yourself on what's going on in the industry, how you can help support it, because by your supporting this industry and putting more visibility on it, it's given us more opportunity to do what we need to do. Of course, a lot of this is going to have to be changed by legislation. So just understanding who you're voting for, what you're voting for when it comes to the voting process, and just continue to educate yourself. Understand that something that you're going to constantly have to learn, read up, laws, regulations, everything is going to be consistently changing. So, just understand, educate yourself, and just continue to try to learn as much as possible.
Absolutely. Everything we have comes through the supply chain, every physical product anyway, I should say, at least. And there's been a lot of supply chain disruptions this last year.
It's been a very different year this past year, and so we're constantly learning. And so something else that I failed to mention, with Steam Logistics, we've really taken control of the drayage market. That's been a place where we've really been able to really just step out and make ourselves a little bit different than other third-party providers. And so we're able to handle the drayage, we're able to handle the international, we're able to handle the domestic as well. So we kind of take that three-pronged approach, and it's been really working out well for us. Absolutely.
Well, the trucking industry in general has been booming, fortunately. And, and the maritime industry connected to that's been really booming, it seems like, as well in recent months. So I really appreciate you coming on with me today, Matt. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely. And thanks again. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
All right. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you soon.